A Fishing Match by John Thomas Barron. Down yon at Jolly Wagoner, a merry-hearted set, a fellas camped in kitchen there, and neat beneath they met. As most a lot were fishermen, they supped and often fratched about all the big monstrosities which they while fishing catched. Bill Grubbins swore he'd nabbed a pike which weighed aboon 200, and Jerry Blank towed o'er a trout 2 feet 6 long and more. Ned Pincher too had hooked a perch which bumped 2 pound on scale, and Nobbler bragged up champion chub too fat to wag it tail. They towed their buzzies plump and plain right off without a blush, and offered odds they'd prove 'em too whenever brass were flush. But the wisest of their hearers smiled, while odd uns heave a sigh, 'cause fishermen are qualified to tell a gradely lie. When neat there were a bonny buzz among that kitchen crew, 'cause the landlord said, "Be gum, we'll have a champion fishing do. I'll start you off with 30 bob, toward a cut angling sweep, for the reputation of this house of mine I mean to keep. Beout more ado is clinking brass on tabletop he put, he'll make a good do on it, and let it come off soon it cut. If them who enter pay a bob a piece to this, there'll be enough to make the first prizeman sing in Dutch, "You Lee-Rat-Tee." To join that sweep they all agreed, and th' entrance brass were paid. Then preparations for th' event were made while betting swayed. Fuss little P were the favourite, he'd won a prize or two, but Nobbler took his place and said, "I'll let 'em know who's who." Then Jerry Blank in betting coom, but th' odds were rather long. Ned Pincher though were back to win, 'cause he'd bait extra strong. Bill Grubbins swore he'd lick 'em all, 'cause he'd some tackle fine. Then juggled, "Way, you gut I have's tough as a railway line." Arrangements for that match were made, and the rules were drawn up right, and after that excitement rose to welly fever heat, till th' afternoon that match arrived, and then there were some fun, for lots of funny things occurred afore that sweep were won. There'd be taught 40 fishermen, all keen and very wise, determined to try all they knew to win that champion prize. They'd rods and lines, paste grubs and worms, with ground bait to chuck in, and when they draw for places, thou'd stagers give a grin. Me old thwaite they meant to catch, some wild remarks were made, and lots of language were red hot, which on the cut bank were said. Odd sporting swells were making bets, to the tune of money a crown, for every mon's intentions there were taking t'others down. Joe Schaffler were too drunk to fish, so sent his youngster Tom, who prowled up bank to find his bag with loot so sad and glum. He'd never fished in a match afore, and shaped just like a fool, but when he heard that signal start, his lines in cut he threw. For half an hour there weren't a bite, then Jerry Blank said, "Now, I've a whopper on, and soon I'll get it out somehow." His float had wobbled out a sort, 'twas surely summat big, to take it down from top like that, folk whispered it's a snig. A crowd of chaps squeaked quietly up, all on 'em keen on watch, and wagerin were made on weight a Jerry's wheel hook catch. With South Serenes some fishermen looked on without a sound, till the catch were landed, then it proved a kittling lately drowned. Put a dead mouse on thy hook, they'll happen catch a cat, was shouted. Jerry, mad as out, roared, "Nay, it's thee, it's the flat." Then Nobbler clutched his rod and snapped, "I'm bound to weigh this in." But when he get his prize to top, it were a roasting tin. Ned Pigger laughed and chucked his skits about in language free, and murmured, "Chaps, as sure as death, that force prize is for me." A low, a bite, a curl on wrist is all that wriggler needs. He struck, but all he landed were a string of broken weeds. Half time passed o'er, yet not a fish them 40 men had catched, though what wondrous baits they had, a deal of anglers fratched. As time went on, some faces there were pitiful to say, as to one t'other snapped, I'll bet I'd catch as much as they. That lad a shaftless, quaintly coward, among that boasting set, he bothered little o'er his rod, but smoked a cigarette. And just afore match time were up, a great surprise he gave, for looking into cut his flow had vanished out of sight. He gripped his rod and give a jerk, then whiz, up in there, went the line with summat wig on th' end. That seat made watchers stare. It were a tiny gudgeon. Tom Ingley gripped th' lively form, and said, well, I'll be hanged, it is as heavy as a worm. Then 'twistle blew for packing up. That gudgeon had won the sweep, and the way some on 'em carried on would make one's marrow creep. Be ones and twos they all sneaked off, disgusted as could be, and more than one among them went to have a fortnight's spree. There hasn't been much bragging sin among that fishing crew, for the chaff they get through being lickin' made odd uns rayther blue. But a strong rumour a-going round, man, you don't let it slip, as the lot's all bound to try again for the fishing championship.